Hi, I'm Lindsay from Shreve Memorial Library and welcome to Art Club. This week we're going to do week 3 of our One Book, One Parish paintings. Now our book this year is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, which I say again, you totally should read. It's so good. She also wrote The Night Circus. She's fantastic. I loved The Starless Sea. It's fantastic. You should read it. Anyway, here are the first two that we did. We did a bee and a key. In the novel, three big symbols are a bee, a key, and a sword. The setting of a lot of the book is this deep underground library. And if you want to go and stay down there and serve the library, there are three routes you can take. They are symbolized by a bee, a key, and a sword. The bee symbolizes an acolyte. The key symbolizes a keeper. And the sword symbolizes the guardian. I'm not going to go farther into it and all that entails. It's really interesting. Just read the book. You won't regret it. Anyway, so today, we're going to do the sword, and we are going to do it in this same style so they'd all hang up and look neato together. We're going to use the same three colors we've used in the other ones, which are white, white, black, and this is a warm yellow. It does not need to be this yellow. It can be any yellow you have. It's perfectly fine. This is just the color I like for these. So choose whatever yellow you have or whatever yellow you like. It'll be fine. I'm using gouache today. You also don't need to use gouache. Acrylics are perfect for this. You can also really pull it off in watercolor the way we're going to do it. The reason I'm using gouache is because you see this has a nice matte finish with no shine, and acrylic has little shine, and I was having problems with that. So that's really the main difference is the finish in these two. So use whatever paint you have. It's also great for colored pencils or crayons or whatever you want to do. It'll all work out just fine. So I have my paints. I have some paint brushes. I have a pencil and an eraser. And for this one, because it has a long straight part, I'm using a ruler. You don't need a ruler, just use something straight or else freehand it. That'll be fine too. I'm using watercolor paper today. You don't have to have that either. You can paint on whatever. And I have water and some palette paper. So let's get going. Okay, for the sword, like the key, I chose a pretty simple one. It's pretty easy to draw. That's kind of the main reason, and it just didn't seem like it needed to be too ornate. This is a common design of a medieval sword, except on the edges of the blade, you see I have those lines going down. Medieval swords seem to have a more curved blade area. It's just this kind of look better and more sharp. I based this drawing just on images from museums with old medieval swords in them, so it seemed common. Anyway, so that's what we're gonna do. You can make yours more ornate if you want. That's cool too. So here's how I'm gonna do it. If you don't want to draw it, the traceable is available. There's a link in the description. It's a PDF. You can print it out. You can trace it. You can just color it. That's great too. So here's how I'm going to do this. I'm just going to decide where my sword is going to be first. So I want it to be, since it's just so skinny and so long, I want it to go up, close to the top of the paper and down to almost the bottom, but I want it to be kind of even. So that's going to be my top point, and this is going to be the bottom. At the bottom, we can do this one the same way that we did last time with the key and the big oval. I'm going to draw a little plus, decide how big I want it. I love this tool for drawing circles and ovals. So we don't want it too big. So I'm just drawing a plus here, and you see that the horizontal line is longer than the vertical one, and that's because I want to draw an oval and not a circle. So all I need to do now is just draw the lines here so I know where it goes, and then connect these instead of having to draw the whole shebang once. And I find I have an easier time getting a result that I like. Now draw lightly because you're going to be erasing a lot of this. Okay? In fact, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to erase it, where I can still see it a little bit. I'm going to redraw it, following the lines I made with that plus. But remember, you want to draw lightly and really lighter than I'm drawing. I just want to make sure you can see it. Okay, so there's the oval part at the bottom. And then based on that, we're going to add a handle that will go down almost to that. We're going to make it look 3D like we did the key. So just where your middle is, just off the middle a little bit. Like we want this at a steep angle going toward that. We just want to show that it is a handle like that. Doesn't need to be perfect, although we're going to be painting light over it, so erase any lines you don't need. Okay, so let's see, I'm going to do this, and I want these to come almost there. And now I'm going to draw the 3D part, and that is just like following this line and then meeting it. So you see how it's showing there's some dimension to it, but it's flat. I'm not trying to make it look round, I'm trying to make it look flat. Okay, and this comes kind of between those two. Good enough. Okay, do not know my sword terminology. I think this is the hilt though. So there's the handle, okay? And I am going to draw just a straight line across there. Okay, and then I'm going to angle up a little bit like that. And just try and mirror it. Good enough. It's really hard to get these things perfect, so the best rule of thumb, not to try here for perfection. Okay, and then I'm going to draw a line straight up on each side like that. And then let's see, here's the middle, right? And I'm going to draw just this little, just like that, to show where the blade's going to hit. And then I'm going to go and connect these, but I want them wider at the ends than at the top. If they're not, it doesn't matter. This is just my arbitrary choice. Okay, now we're going to make this part look 3D. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to do a line in here and one here. Okay, I'm going to draw a line right there and a line right there. Okay, now I want the blade to come out of the middle of this, and so I want a narrower gap between this part and that, so there might be one on the other side, and I want the blade to come in between. Okay, so there's all that. All we have left is the blade, and let's see, I want it kind of straight. So here's what's going to happen. It's going to bring it out from about here, and it's going to taper in. Let me find, let's see, middle of my sword, and make a mark right there. I just made a little mark just because I want the sword to be straight. So here's what I'm going to do. I have this. I'm not going to go all the way to it because I want that little extra point over there, but I'm going to go almost all the way. I have my straight edge here. I'm going to go to about here and lightly draw a line with the straight edge. Okay? And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. This comes from about here to about here, I think. And I think that looks good. I'm always erase. And I'm going to draw this line down here lightly. Don't like that. Too much of an angle, right? And I'm going to erase it. and try again. And this time I'm gonna do about right here, and then this comes to about right there. Let's see what this looks like. Better! And then I'm gonna draw a little line here and a little line there, and there's our sword. Okay, I'm gonna draw just a little bit of detail, which I might end up just straight up painting over, but we're gonna have it here anyway. I'm gonna draw that right under there, and this just shows that the parts taper down. So, let's see, actually, I'm just gonna freehand this. Next to it, I just want to show that the edges are sharper. This is really just for the moment because we are going to paint over it. This way we know what we're doing. Okay. See, that was even easier than the key. Definitely easier than the B. Okay. So, if you have any extraneous marks outside of it, I guess it really doesn't matter because we're going to paint all of that black. So, here's our drawing. And that is exactly what I'm going to do first. Is I'm going to get some black paint. Like that. Ooh, that's a lot. And I am going to get the paint off of here. And I'm going to paint everything around, everything but the sword, I'm going to paint black. Okay? And then I'm going to dry it, and then we're going to paint the sword. Okay, my painting is dry enough. I see a couple little spots that are still white because of the texture of the paper, and I see some other places that just need a second coat of black. But I will go do touch-ups later. Okay, so here's our sword. First thing, I don't know what color these swords originally were. I assume they weren't gold and silver, but the iron maybe, bronze maybe. I don't know what they were. But this one is going to be gold and silver because it's going to match the rest of the stuff we've done. So this part is going to be gold, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to paint it this warm yellow color. Just going to do the whole part down here, and then I'll come back later and add detail to it. There is my first coat for the hilt. Now I'm going to do is I'm going to get out some white, and I'm going to mix a gray with the black. I want it to be pretty light. I want it to be not the lightest color, but not the darkest color in this. So I'm going to start with white because I want it really more white than black. And when you mix colors, you generally want to start with the color that you want it to be mostly. Okay. Let's see what we get. It's actually not too bad. Okay, and gouache color shifts, so this should end up a little bit darker than this. But we'll find out. Okay. So now I'm going to paint the blade. Okay, here is my sword with its first coat. I'm declaring that I'm declaring the blade good enough. If you really want it straight and you are using acrylics, one thing that you can do is once the black is completely dry, you can use masking tape to do this and do a straight line and then then paint next to it. That takes a while. I didn't really want to do that, so I didn't. And this is just going to be good enough. So I think it's good enough. So here's what I'm going to do. The help part is probably dry enough. So what I need to do first is I'm going to make a darker color for the 3D part that shows the shadow of it going down, okay? So I'm going to get mostly this yellow. Make sure you can see it. Okay. I'm going to get a little bit of black. Ooh, I don't want that much black. Get a little bit of black, and I'm just going to darken it. Just a little. That should be good enough. Okay. And I'm going to do areas that I painted them yellow, so I'm painting over yellow again. I'm just going to do the areas that I had drawn that went back there, and this side. Okay, and then there was a little bit narrow bit along this. See how this is helping it look like there's some dimension to it? Okay, and then I'm going to do this part down here. Actually, I think this whole part can just go all the way around. Okay, let me just go. Actually, no, it can't. Nothing, I did the wrong side. I'll repaint it. It's this part. It's the high part, not the bottom part that you want to be that color. And since I accidentally painted it that color, and when you make mistakes in general, here's what you want to do. You want to let it dry, and then you want to fix it. So I'm going to let that dry for a minute. And this, the part where your hand actually goes, I should have learned my terminology, but oh well. This part is round, so you can hold it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint this edge like that. I'm going to paint like right here, this little bit ledge to show that that part's separate, right? I'm going to curve this down like this. I'm just going to do this one side like that. Okay, that to look kind of like that. Okay, so there's that one side of that. We'll do lighter color on the other side. See if this part down here is dry enough to fix, and mine is. So I'm going to fix that, and all I need to do here is go along this little bit where I shouldn't have painted it dark, and paint it light yellow again. Oh, that makes so much more sense. Okay, much better. One nice thing about opaque paint is it is so easy to fix your mistakes. Okay, so there's that part pretty much done, except we're going to add some highlights in a minute. So what I want to do next is I want this gray that I made, I want to make a darker gray. So I'm just going to put in a little bit more black before it dries using acrylic gouache, and once it is dry, just like regular acrylic paint. A little more white. I'm getting a darker gray than the other one. Okay, I want my darker gray. Much darker this should do. We can always paint over it if it's too dark anyway. So I have a darker gray. I'm going to go along this side where I'm going to say the light source is over here. I go along this side where, remember when I drew those lines in there? I paint in the part I already painted. And paint on the other side of where that line was. Okay, if you're not careful enough like I wasn't and you did something like this or just de-straightened your line, can go back and fix that super easy with black once it's dry. So don't worry about that. I'm gonna let it dry though. I think actually it's probably dry enough, so make sure your paint is dry enough. Anywhere you need to go fix it and just go get some black and fix that right up. Okay, good enough. So there's that side. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side except light. So what I want to do is I definitely want more white. Actually just going to pick up whatever little gray that is. I do not want white. I want it to be gray. I get some of this gray and put it in the white. I want it lighter than the color of the main part of the sword, but not white. So let's see. There we go. Looks good enough, and if it's not, I will just go back again. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to paint along the length just like I did with this darker gray. Remember, you can always go back and fix the mistakes that you make. Also, if it's not light enough, which I don't think mine is because I can't really see it, I'm going to get, let's see, a good bit more white. Try again and try and get it to show up a little bit better. I can kind of see it, but barely. I want to be able to see it a little bit better. Okay, that should help. See, one part at the bottom that I'm not happy with where I made it too wide. I'm going to fix that. So fix anything on this side that you need to do by adding more black. Okay, so I can see the light part now. Cool. Okay, so now have a look at the blade. Make sure you're happy with it. If you're not, make it so you are happy with it. Don't try to be perfect. That will make it not fun. And we want art club to be fun. Okay, so there's my sword. Mostly. Now I can see the difference. And now I'm going to go back and do the same thing with the hilt of it. I hope that's right. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to get some yellow. And I really want it kind of dulled down some, so I'm going to mix it into this. You see how it's kind of graying it just a little bit, which is good because I want it a little bit grayer, a little bit more toward white. We'll see what this looks like. So here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to do, imagine there's a light here, okay? So I'm going to do something along this edge. Oops. Like that. And then along this edge, a little curve in like that. Okay. And goes up here. And then up there. And this part, there we go. Almost. There we go. Okay. Now the side of this, not starting quite where this ends, but just around down the side of this narrowly. And then along the top here of this one, okay. Now I can add a couple little brighter highlights just to make it a little bit more interesting. So with that's about as light as I can go over here, so that's going to be pure white. I'm going to get some more white and mix it into the edge over here. So I have almost a white, but not quite. I'm going to do a little strip here. This is just to show an actual shine on it, show that it is shiny. And a little bit here. And just a tiny bit within the rest of it to show it's shiny. Okay, it's like that. See how now it's not only looking 3D, but it's looking a little bit shiny? Okay. And then I'm going to get more white down here. And you see this is almost pure white. It's just not quite pure white. I'm going to do just a little bit here, touch here, and down, and then a touch, a little bit more. Not quite within this little bright part. Okay. And now we're going to go and put in a little bit of white. And a little bit will do. So I'm going to get the white I have left. Okay. Roll my brush in it so I have a little point. And then I'm going to put a little point of white right, say, here. And this is where that extra little line was to show us that the blade was cutting back that, and then a little dot right here and little dot right here, right there, a wee little dot right there, and that is it. So anywhere you need to go and touch up, say for instance if you need more black somewhere, now is the time to do it. I'm gonna go get some more black and touch up some of the black on here that I think is too thin, and then that will be it. Okay, I'm happy enough with that. Now I see this one little part. It's too much paint. Okay, I'm gonna sign this just like I signed these two. You see this darkish gray, so I'm gonna mix that. Make sure this corner of your painting is dry before you do it. So I'm going to get some black and mix it into this white that I just made, well, that I just put out because I don't have much white left. I'm going to make myself a gray. Of course, I put way too much water in it because that's what you do. You're running out of paint. Okay. A little bit more black. About the same color as the other ones. Hopefully that will do. And I'm going to sign my name. Okay, don't forget to sign your paintings. They are awesome because you made them. And there we go. All that's left now is I'm going to slowly and carefully peel off the paper. the tape that was sticking the paper to my board. I don't want to rip the paper. Ooh, this looks so nice. I love nice white edges. When paintings are finished, this looks great. Okay. And here is our sword. Let me move this and this. And see them all. Is our B, our key, and our sword. Yay! All three, and they all three match so well. And yeah, I'm very happy with this situation. So I hope you painted along with me today or colored or whatever. If you did, please take a picture and send it into the library social media. We love to see what you do. Yeah, this is it for One Book, One Parish Art Club. Next week, we are going to do something to celebrate Halloween because I think it's going to come out the day before. The video is going to come out the day before Halloween. So we will do something Halloweeny because fun. Yeah, and I hope you enjoyed this super duper One Book, One Parish Art Club Marathon. I had a good time. Hope you did too. And I will see you next week for more Art Club. Bye.